What this is saying is that complaint that I have is probably valid. And now what am I going to do about it? Not what are you going to do about it, but what am I going to do about my complaint? But wait a minute, my complaint involves you. My complaint means that you have to make some decision. The question is, what action are you going to take? Not what action are you going to require others to do? A few years ago, I, in my own head at least, was this positive, proactive, solutions-oriented sort of guy. And someone mentioned to me that they would like for me to monitor how much I complain. And let me be clear. No one around me thought that I was a complainer. I was not one of those people that needed to be enlightened because I complained more than everybody else. That was not the case. I was a positive guy. But a wise person said, just monitor it. And so I put on this bracelet that I do not like to wear. And every time I complain, I'm supposed to take the bracelet off my wrist and move it to the other wrist, not to punish myself, but to remind myself that it's actions that I need to take. And the first day that I put this on, positive, proactive guy that I was, I moved this bracelet over 40 times and found out that I was just a big whiny ass and had no idea. And my point of saying that is not to punish me, but to let you know that you probably are too. Everyone that I know complains without realizing that it's there. They're frustrated with something and they're like, oh, I can't believe it rained again today. Okay, well, the weather, what are you going to do about the weather? But all the other things you complain about, there is something you can do. What I have found is that if I will just pause, whenever I complain, if I'll just pause and say, what can I do to fix this complaint? Is there anything else? And for 20 seconds, brainstorm. What else could I do? Instead of my default of just, there's nothing you can do, no, let's change my default setting to say, okay, I'm frustrated by that. What can I do? I have found that I can fix about 25% of my problems just with a 20-second brainstorm. If I just say, I don't know what, okay, but maybe there is something. Well, okay, well, if I do that, maybe there, okay, I can try this. And about 25% of my problems get fixed. Now, that's not 100%. There's still 75% over here where I usually need to involve other people, and that's what the rest of the ground rules are going to help us with. But think about 25% of your problems just kind of going away because you fixed them that aren't currently getting fixed. That's a pretty big chunk of your frustration that just gets fixed. And then there's 75%, and of that 75%, I used to say, there's about 20% that, there's just nothing you can do about that, and so you need to put those over into the serenity prayer category, okay? I now say there's about the only thing in my serenity prayer category is weather. Everything else, there's more I can do. I used to put politics over in the serenity prayer category because, like government politics, because, what are you going to do? It's too broken, it's too awful. Until I started saying, what can I do? Is there anything else I can do to contribute to my frustrations in government politics? And so I came up with an event, and we now host an event, we're teaching these ground rules here in business, and they've gone so well in business, somebody said, why don't you just apply those to politics? I'm like, well, because I like to complain a lot about politics. And so I changed my thinking, and I said, you're right. Why do I have one outlier in my life? Let's live by these ground rules in every aspect of my life. So I live by the ground rules, even in politics. Okay, people around me would say, most of the time, you do a lot better than you used to do, but still pretty close to living by these ground rules. And what we've done is now created an event where we bring together people from opposite sides of deeply entrenched, heated issues, gun control, healthcare. What are we doing next week? Oh, coal, energy, coal. We're doing next week. And these are people on opposite sides of the fence who are coming together to have a debate, but they have to live according to these ground rules, which is drastically different than every debate. And where they violate a ground rule, we actually pause the debate and walk them through the thought process of getting their head back into the ground rules as a way to teach people, even deeply entrenched people, how to think better, how to be their best selves, even in the area of politics. What I'm trying to tell you by doing this is there is really almost nothing that belongs in the serenity prayer category. If you are frustrated by it, ask the question, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? To the point that I want you, every time you have a frustration, to see yourself picking up a flag, writing that frustration on the flag, and you hold that flag until you have fixed the problem. It's not your flag to give to somebody else, to walk up to my boss and say, I've accurately identified the problem, here you go. No, it's I've accurately identified what I think the problem is, boss, and I see it as my problem to solve. I might need you a little bit, but it's still my problem to solve. I am not handing you my flag. And you watch the difference in the support that you get from your boss when you are taking true ownership of resolving your own frustrations rather than just dumping them all on him or her. Okay? It's personal accountability for your own frustrations. What else can you do?